Tonight's forecast. A freeze is coming.
Yeah, that was too easy. Chapter 497 is more of a setup chapter as Invel steps into the battlefield and frees up some of the Fairy Tail members, including Natsu, leaving Gray alone. Another round of ice versus ice. This was a cooler chapter than the last one, and at least it led to the other Springer 12 member to finally step in. And I can only hope his hype will be saved. The Springer 12 member who has been defeated, pretty much being sidelined or being used as a montage of action. That is excluding Gildars, as he just pulverized everybody in his way. There are other elements that I actually like about this chapter. I do find that whole Zerov actually showing some remorse to Mavis. This is actually a nice hint of something that cannot fade away, and that is love. I know it's a little bit cheesy, but in this case it actually would make sense to see Zerov actually feel some sympathy for Mavis, who's being distracted by Irene. Even Irene has seen Zerov being like a sympathetic guy, and he's like, no, you have to be evil, you gotta be cruel, you gotta be our leader. I like the shots that goes back and forth with Zerov actually showing, or rather saying, that some of the things that he actually doesn't feel comfortable with. More like saying like the whole extraction, how long does it take? It's not about like I want that very hard right away, but it's more like I don't want to see Mavis suffering anymore. Can you just end it already? And I also like the last shot where Mavis actually looks at him and Zerov looks at her and then turns around. We always see them as enemies in the present, but in the past they were lovers, and they have that similar feeling. The build-up for the battle between Irene and Urza has officially begun, with Irene want Urza to be dead. Not sure what's her deal. However, I know Irene and Urza are going to fight each other. I know it's going to be one of the most predictable outcome, unless there's a big surprise, which I would love that. Despite that idea, I find build-up between them intriguing, mainly because of the backstory that could come up for Irene. One of the strengths that Mashima has is the backstory. I remember where Zerov have his backstory on cover. It was really good. It was something that you wanted to say, why this wasn't in every Fairy Tail chapter. Or not like that, but more of like why this quality of writing cannot happen so much off. Mashima could really write when he really put his mind to it. He probably would have done it more, but I feel like Fairy Tail, it doesn't require too much to put a lot of effort. But when it comes to backstory, and at least that's something that he's still good at. There are really good backstories. I could see Irene having a good backstory. It's funny because the present time is always the lacking part, but the backstory, the flashback, are where the fun part comes in, where the good writing aspect of Fairy Tail comes through. So those are one of those times where Fairy Tail really shines. One thing I have to note is that whole Naya heart. It's a possibility that he is a weapon of Irene. It might be the case with the last panel of Naya Heart being struggled by her words, and then just seems like struggling to say I am something. Either he's a weapon or maybe he's a ghoul. I don't know. His eyes turn blank. Invel has a cool entrance, no pun intended, and it was pretty cool to see that. There's so many cool references. Oh god. He comes in there and it just frees everyone up. Natsu, Lucy, and Juvia. And then pretty much we have Gray left out to be the only one to fight him. And of course that's another ice versus ice battle. Funny because that's the same thing that he did with his father Silver. So now it's like we're going more of a ice versus ice. Of course Invel could have more arsenal to his weaponry. I just wanted to see a little bit more different diversity or a different style of ice. And I don't mean like this one could freeze super fast. Kind of like how One Piece, where Zoro had to fight a guy who used 6 swords, or the guy he pretty much is sword himself. Like seriously. But I kind of wanted to have a little bit more diversity, but whatever. Invel could bring out something different. We already know he has done something to Mavis. Enjoy this chapter more than the last chapter. There's more of a setup, but it seems like it could be a good one for the battle that's gonna happen with between Gray and Invel. I don't know how predictable it will be because this is Fairy Tail, the friendship power. We'll see. Maybe Mashima will always play it safe, and that would be a shame if that is the case. Chapter 497 gets a 7. Too many pun in this review. I gotta make sure I don't do any more puns in the next review. So at least there's another fight coming up, and I can only hope it will be a good one. I can only hope the Spring of 12 strong team members can actually live up to the hype. But maybe I'm too naive. My thoughts are told, don't let yours on hold. Leave a comment below. Thank you for watching this video. If you like this and want more of this, subscribe to my channel, and my world will be yours to stay. Until next time, take care.